Welcome back to another episode of Bes-TEAS, Spillin Tea from Time. I'm your co-host Aisha with my best friend
Stephanie.
Welcome back.
I'm going to get it one day.
No, you're
I'm
not.
going to do something cool one day and nobody's even going to know it's me.
I feel like they will. But either way, we're back for another episode. And today we have yet another great topic. And I feel like I say this every time, but every time we come on here,
yes,
it's a good topic. But today's topic is an interesting one because it is about your work BFF or a situationship.
Yeah, it's like our origin story.
Which you reminded me.
Origin story.
Yeah, which you actually reminded me.
That we were
work BFFs. That's how we, samesies. That's how we started.
Were work BFFs. Yeah, we were. And it wasn't just a situationship.
No.
It became family.
You see today. But it's okay. So today's topic, again, is a good one. One, because it's true. You reminded me that we actually did start out as work BFFs.
Yeah, we were.
That has evolved into a 20 plus year friendship. But it is an interesting conversation because the reality is you actually spend more time with your coworkers than you do with your whole family.
Yeah.
And hopefully you work in an environment where you like the people that you work with, maybe depending on where you work or what you do. But I think it's a valid conversation. Like, because you work 40, 35, 40 hours a week, we want to explore, like, what is it? A good work BFF? Does it carry you through? Or is it just a temporary situation? Because again, you got to get yourself through an 8-hour day.
Like survival.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest. And I think that happens in the workplace too, right? Like you join with who you think is going to get you through your day.
Yeah.
And there's always teams.
Yes.
There's always forces that join together against other forces. But is it like a real true friendship that you've developed? Or is it just a situation where you're like, okay, these are the people that I'm forced to be with, 40 plus hours a week because I'm at work?
Yeah.
Or do you get to build these really long lasting, like meaningful friendships that blossom into, what we've been so blessed to have?
So I think it can go both ways. I think you can definitely establish, like, again, I think in a workplace, people come together because they're going to build alignment, whether because you don't like your boss, maybe you're on a team together for a particular project.
You're having a little trauma bonding.
You're having a little trauma bonding, right?
Like a little trauma bonding from your boss.
Right? Or there's like a coworker that you're just not vibing with and someone else that you know is not vibing with them. You do kind of establish a relationship. A camaraderie.
Comrades.
Right? It's true.
You do.
But when does it become, okay, so I guess the question is, we'll take our origin story, right? Because we really didn't enter into this space.
Do we want to do that?
I mean, we'll do a high level. We'll do a high level origin story. High level origin story. But we met obviously at a workplace. And I mean, I certainly didn't set out to be like, oh, this girl's going to be my BFF. But, we had some common ground. We met, we liked each other. But what do you think moved from, or in your opinion, shifted from it being a situation where we
can't even get through this at a high level. What do you mean? Straight trauma bond the whole time. We can't get through this high level. We got to take us out of this, babe.
Okay.
We were friends.
Yeah.
We became friends. And you know what? I was the most, okay, so this is what I'll put out there.
Yeah.
I was the most unorganized person in the whole entire universe. And I still am.
Yeah.
But Aisha saved me. She stepped in so many times. And I mean, at the time I was going through it. I was going through it on multiple levels. And we bonded. See, we can't even get through this.
I know. Because you know what just came to me when you said that story?
I don't want to say anything that would be damaging to anybody because I love everybody and it's all over and it happened so long ago.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it really was.
What came to mind, not to get off topic, when you said Aisha really helped you, I just remember the time that we came to the office and all your stuff was
in the hallway because my office was too messy. Yeah, I mean, it still happens now. It still happens now. I'm telling you. We talked about it last week. A type B needs a type A. A type B needs a type A. And I think that happens in work relationships as well.
Yes, yeah.
Because you have to pair up with the person that is going to make you a stronger employee so that you don't get fired.
Yeah. Or tempers you so you don't get fired. That's actually a really good point. Yeah. That's a good point. But what Okay, so we'll leave our story
Yeah, we
out
gotta
because
take ours out.
because there's no really ability to
Rewind.
but in other workplaces, okay, so in other workplaces that you have worked, can you think about a situation where maybe it was a situation at a time, or are there still lasting friendships that you have with people that you connected with at work?
Yeah, well, for sure
Yeah.
in security.
Yeah.
So I did
Mm,
security for a long time,
Yeah.
as most people know, and I
Yeah.
did special events. And we created this group
yeah.
called the Misfits. Shout out to my Misfits. I love you. So we created a group called the Misfits. And honestly, it was the group of, I don't want to say who we were,
Yeah.
but it was
Misfits.
honestly this group of people that
Yeah.
were absolutely incredible human
Mhm,
beings,
mhm.
and we got along so well, and it was just, we loved working together. It was every single time you went to work, you had like all your best friends around you. It
Okay.
was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
best experience,
yeah.
and maybe that's why I loved it so much, is just
Yeah.
the people that I happened
That's a
to
great
have on my shift
Yeah.
were truly the most incredible
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And it turned into real friendship. We really, truly
Liked each
bonded
other. Yeah.
over the time of period that we
Yeah.
were doing these things right up until COVID.
Yeah.
And it was, you knew every single shift you were searching,
Yeah, like
who's going to be
please
on my
let them
shift,
be on my
who's going to be on my
shift.
shift,
Yeah,
who's going to be on my shift.
yeah.
And when you saw those people, it was
Okay.
like this weight was taken
Yeah.
off of you. Because
Yes.
sometimes in certain situations, it can just be stressful.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you can maybe not have the
Mhm.
right supervisor at the
Yeah.
time, or,
Mhm.
you know, maybe know that your supervisor is one that's like riding you. And when you know that you have those
Yeah.
people, it takes this weight off
Off
of your
your
shoulders
shoulders.
for your shift.
Yeah.
And that happened for me for
Yeah.
sure in security.
That's very cool. I mean, I definitely have friendships. So I've been
I
at my
know.
workplace.
Oh, I know.
I was waiting for that one. But I've been in my workplace for this May was 17 years,
know.
which is
It's
wild.
crazy.
Which is wild.
It's crazy.
And yeah, some of the friendships or the relationships that I have at work with coworkers are genuine friendships
Yeah.
that I have now. Didn't set out for it to be that way, right? Again, you meet on a project, you like each other, and then you realize like, oh, like this could be more than just a work thing.
Yeah.
Like we actually
And they
have a
are
connection.
really lovely people.
Yes.
Like I'm just honestly being
Being
a
funny, yeah.
horrible person right now, but they are truly
Right? 'Cause you've met
lovely
them.
people. I have met them.
Yeah.
They are wonderful people.
Yeah, right. But so it is nice because like you said, in those situations where work is stressful, and work can definitely be stressful, or there's maybe a manager or a leader that you just are really not vibing with, it is those individuals that you are bonding with. And I say that more so because your spouse or your partner doesn't also necessarily know what you're experiencing. Like you can come home and dump and be like, oh, my boss, this or this project. And they listen, but they don't have like the intricacies of really what you've been experiencing. So I can see how a work BFF can absolutely evolve into something more. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I can see that too. And I know just from Junior, like he has a really high pressure position.
Mhm.
And as much as we can have conversations about it and we can talk about what he's going through, I'm not in his office or I'm not in that space to really feel the pressure that he's under in his position. And I know for you, when you're working on really big projects and, you know, there's so many working parts, you have to rely on those people that are around you to support you so much during that. And I'm kind of in a weird position now being a supply teacher because I go into a new school every single day. And so you're starting from the bottom every single day trying to meet people.
Yeah.
And
which we know is your forte. We said it at the same time, which is her forte, everyone. She loves to meet new people. If you see Stephanie in the hallway, please make sure you go up to her and say, hi, Stephanie. Let's be friends.
So. No, but there are some people that I have actually got genuine camaraderie with. I don't want to say friendship because I haven't really been in a school long enough to develop a friendship. But I've definitely created camaraderie with people.
Which is cool.
When I can go back to a school and say, oh, I know I'm going to see this teacher and like I'll be able to eat lunch with them or I'll see them in the hallways. And that feels really good. Yeah. You know, it's nice to go into a space where you feel some level of comfort.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think with the comfort though, and it's one of the things that we wanted to talk about, when does it become like too comfortable? When do you confide too much in your work BFF? And has that ever gone sideways? Because I think that that's gone sideways for me.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah.
I had confided something about myself.
Yeah.
And I had told the person because I was concerned about a medical situation.
Yep.
And they went and they told my boss.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. Dear.
So
and then
not
I
as
got brought into a meeting, about like what's going to happen, whatever. And I was like,
right? Like, I didn't give you you are not my friend.
No, but you're really not my friend. You're really not my friend. And and it wasn't even like.
Did you confront them? Did you end up going to them and saying like, why would you?
Absolutely.
What did they
I am like,
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah. You would have rolled up. You would have rolled up. And
I was just like, what was the intent?
Yeah.
What was your intent here?
Yeah.
Because I think I know what your intent was. So it really was, it was truly obnoxious of the person to do that.
Yeah.
But I've heard so many stories of people getting, involved in these work friendships.
Yeah.
And then maybe, you go out for drinks outside of work or you go to a party. Maybe you see something that you shouldn't have seen. Maybe somebody's a little cheating on their husband or wife. Like maybe
extracurriculars.
Yes. And they get a little too comfortable with their coworkers. And the coworker's like, pump the brakes. You and me ain't really friends.
Yeah.
And then it causes
it causes drama
in the workplace.
I mean, it has definitely happened to me. 100%. It has definitely happened to me. Same thing where you believe that the relationship that you have with that person is more than what it obviously was. I also feel like it, interestingly enough, what you said, it kind of ties back to another episode that we did around bad mind, because at the end of the day, there's also a bad mind energy, like that you entered into doing what you did. But definitely make sure you check out that episode, because that was a really good episode if you haven't seen it. But yeah, it's hard because, again, I think we enter into these friendships or these situationships genuinely.
Yeah. Hoping for something good.
Hoping for something
like
good.
Like you're hoping to, especially as an adult.
This is what I'm saying.
Because I think, we're not on the playground, right?
No.
We're not on the playground. There's not always opportunities to make friends. Mm-hmm. So when you go to work, you're like, why are you being bad to me? Or like, why are we not vibing?
This is what I'm saying. And like, if you don't like me or we don't vibe, then the fact that you put in the effort to build a relationship, right? Yeah. Only to do me dirty, I think is so shady.
Yeah.
It's so shady. But it does happen. So then I'm going to ask you a question. How, and maybe there isn't a way, is there a way to tell if a work relationship can be a friendship, or literally just be like, when I see you, we're going to like kick it and kiki and laugh about what's happening. And then we just, right? And then there's no post text messaging after.
Yeah. I think you have to test the waters. I think you got to go slow with work friends.
Okay.
And sometimes it feels like it's all happening so quickly. And that for me pumps the brakes. I'm like, yo, why are you love bombing me? Like we're not friends yet.
Yeah.
But I think you have to move really slowly with work friends, because there could be some kind of alternate, something at play. But work friendships, they can be a really tricky thing to navigate, especially when you're in the same position. Are you like going for the same job? Are you in the same sort of management role? Are you equals? Is one a superior? So there's so many things that I think that you really have to consider when you're making your friends. Like, I don't ever want to be friends with my boss.
Yeah.
Because I like my bad behavior when I like my bad behavior, and I don't want to walk in.
And be like,
I don't want
together.
And my boss is like,
so how was your Saturday?
We're not friends. We're not friends. I can never be friends with my boss.
No, I agree with you.
I think that my boss and I still need to be on different levels.
Yeah.
Not that I have a boss right now. I am my boss.
No, but I know what you mean. Like, because can you actually turn it off?
Can you?
Yeah.
Or do you sit in this judgmental space also? Like, if you're the boss, have you been friends with people that are,
has it ever happened to me? I mean, I think I think it's also personality, because I am the person, like, if I have a coworker that works for me and like I see you outside doing the most, I'm like, listen, just do it till Monday morning at 8:30. And then, I mean, short of it being
like illegal,
like it being illegal
or something that goes against the mandate,
right? Like, this is what I'm saying. But like, Monday to Friday, you're accountable to me.
Yeah.
Friday at 4:30 afterwards till Sunday. Yo.
What about like romance in the workplace?
Oh.
Because that happens too, right? Like all of these relationships, they get all jumbled up. And then I've heard of so many people having like a work wife or a work husband.
Yes.
I definitely have had work husbands that turned into like tumultuous, like actual love relationships, and they were terrible.
Like they
I do
didn't
not
go the way
recommend. I do not recommend a work husband, unless they go the same way as you. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? Like
you like the same type
you like
of
the
people.
same kind of men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel
Facts,
like
though.
do not have a work husband because that can get messy. And men, do not keep a work wife because they don't sometimes know their place.
Yeah,
okay?
They don't respect
and
the
then the real
boundaries.
wife comes in
Yeah,
and they're
man.
like, oh my God, do you know that I'm the work wife? No, babe.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're lame.
Especially don't be a work wife to my husband because his real wife
ain't the one.
I don't do that.
Ain't the one.
But that's where it gets really messy though. And then what do? You know that somebody's got a work wife or a work husband in the workplace. Is that real? Because sometimes, listen, I read those Reddits. I should have brought a Reddit today. I should have brought a Reddit like that where you're reading. But like some of these people really cross
the line,
those boundaries.
100%.
They cross the line. Now you're texting outside of work.
Yeah, or you know things
about that partner.
Listen, if you have a work partner, a work wife, or a work husband, or a work whatever, and that work person comes up to your significant other and says, "Oh, I heard like something private that
you're dead."
Yo, you're dead.
But I feel that way also about like work friends too. Sometimes like they can know too much.
Yes, they can.
I think that.
And then they start to feel like they have more connection to, It can.
I don't know about this work friend.
Work friends are done. But no,
it worked for us.
Yeah.
It did work for us.
Yes, it did work for us.
But I do know that there are some people that have been truly burned.
Yes.
In the workplace.
100%. And it's one thing where the burn happens outside, but like you said, you have to be very careful around what you share because it can negatively impact your actual work environment. Yeah. And it isn't just related to like an intimate relationship, but it could even be a friendship where, again, you divulge too much or you say too much, or you say something about the same person that you apparently don't like, and that person goes and tells that person that you apparently both mutually don't like what you said.
Like, why are people so messy?
Yeah.
We talk, all of our friendship conversations always go back to the same place of like mess.
Yeah.
Why are we so messy as a people?
I don't know.
Maybe because we're all looking for the same thing. We're all looking for like the next level in our careers. And maybe sometimes we take that, we go too far.
Yeah.
In looking for the next step.
Which I can totally
survival
hear.
of the fittest.
It is survival of the fittest, but then like, I don't know, rip up my test score or something, but like, don't be out here telling my business. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's up. Maybe don't do that. Like, I'm not advocating for anybody to like tear up people's desk score, but I don't know. Like, again, I've been very fortunate to have great relationships that have maintained and been friendships outside, but I think there's also levels. So like for you, like, are there levels of even work friendship? Like you have some that again are really good friendships and some you're cordial, you're good friends, but like there's a level as to how far.
It takes a lot for me to become a good friend.
Yeah.
Like it takes a lot. I think just as who I am.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me to be like your good friend.
Yes.
I stay in the land of acquaintance for quite a while. And like maybe we're, okay, and then we're maybe a little
chill.
bit better than okay.
Yeah,
and
we're chill.
Maybe you can come to my house one time or like whatever.
Yeah.
But I think because for me, I'm just really, I don't jump into friendship like that.
Yeah.
But some people really do.
Mm-hmm.
I just choose not to jump into friendships like that. But I think there absolutely has to be levels. Mm-hmm. Has there been somebody that you've ever had to like walk away from? Like, is there like a work friendship where you had to be like, whoa, we actually can't vibe at all, like on any level? Not work, not friendship. Like you go back to your cubicle, I'll go back to my cubicle, and then like we're done.
We're done.
Do you even work in a cubicle?
No.
Sometimes I don't even know what I do. Like there's been so many years. One time, she's like, "Oh my God, I've been here for like 15 years." And I said, "What do you do? What do you like? What do you even do?"
Well,
Because I think you have a lot.
I do a lot of. I'm very project based. Main focus is homelessness communities. That's my area of focus right now. But in fairness to Stephanie, who acts like she doesn't know, I do change projects quite a bit depending
You
on what's happening.
right?
I do. I change
I
projects.
just know that you work for the region.
Yeah, I change projects a lot. So this is why you might not have a handle. Because you're like, oh, how's this project? I'm like, oh, I'm done. I've moved on to it.
Yeah.
I'm doing this other project. Yeah. So that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what most of my friends do. Because I just don't.
Some friends I know. Some friends I know. Some friends I'm like.
Some friends are like.
Yeah. If you're a teacher, I definitely know you're a teacher.
I think because everybody's struggling out there as teachers. People definitely know when you are a teacher because like you are actively losing your mind. Yeah, but I don't know. Work friendships are really weird for me.
Yeah.
I think that you have to decide where you want it to go when you get in there and what you want for your own career. Because I think that friendships, like the people that you keep around you, can either elevate you or take you down a couple notches, depending on what their performance is like in the company as well.
That's great.
When you're coming into a company, you have to select wisely because you could have selected the person that like everybody absolutely hates. Yeah. To be your bestie, or maybe that's the person that's giving you the attention because they're searching friends. Yeah,
and maybe you're the but that's again a great point because at the end of the day, your workplace is your workplace. Yeah, right. This is the place that pays you. Like there is a lot more accountability in a workplace, so you really do have to be mindful around who you're connecting with, what relationship you have, as well as how that relationship exists in the workplace as well, because it's not always received. You know, people are like, oh, Aisha and Stephanie are like best friends at work. Like maybe that wasn't received as well as we lived in our own world and I don't think we really cared. But like, as you say it, I'm like, oh, maybe people weren't really vibing that we were so close.
Oh, for sure.
At certain periods of, you know what I mean? Prior to us leaving.
Oh, yeah. I can say without
a shadow of a doubt. Okay.
I can say without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. People, I mean, yeah. It's such a weird topic. I think we need some insight from other people too. I think we should reach out to our besties community and really ask about your work life experience. What has your work life experience been with your friends at work? This did come up in one of our in the live that we did. They were talking about work friendships and how to know whether or not they're real, or is it just like for a time being? Is it just a situation? What happens when you leave that job also? You know, what happens to those friends? Do you stay friends with them? Yeah. And I know with me, the Misfits, we've sort of tapered off. I mean, there's a couple of us that still, you know, we talk on Facebook or talk on Instagram, whatever. We WhatsApp each other on birthdays. But it's definitely not as close now that none of us are with the same company. But what happens? What happens to those friendships that just sort of like evaporate? You know? I would love to hear from the besties. I would love to hear from the people in our community about what they think about work life, best friends.
And have you even had, like, do you have a current work friend or a work bestie? Do you have a work husband or work wife?
Has it burned?
Has it? Have you been in a situation where you had a really close relationship with someone at work and it ended up going left? Yeah. Right?
Just not working out.
Yeah. What are those cautionary tales we want to know? Again, thankfully for us, it worked out beautifully, which is not necessarily always the case, but I'm definitely grateful that it did and that we were able to maintain the friendship even after. Like, I think you left first, then I left, and then we maintained.
Yeah, we were
if anything, again,
our relationship.
Yeah, it enhanced after.
It didn't. We can't talk about this anymore.
No, absolutely,
we're done.
Yeah. But as I've said, obviously, always like, share, comment, subscribe. But we would love to hear, because this was a topic on the live. We would love to hear. In fact, have you ever had a positive work relationship? Did you have a negative one? If so, what did you do? Are you actively in a situationship right now? You don't know how to get out of it? Yes, spill the tea. Or you want to get out of it? We definitely want to hear all the things.
We want to hear the
tea. We want to hear all the things.
I should have never done that. I'm sorry.
Oh, you did it.
I did.
I'll do it. There we go. So
I did a shimmy.
You did a shimmy?
I did
Okay.
a shimmy for the tea.
There we go.
I want to hear. Let me know.
We like the
in the
scoop.
comments.
We like the scoop. Now I can't stop shimmying.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Anyways, welcome. Not welcome.
Welcome.
I always
Adios,
do that.
muchachos.
I always deuces. But thank you for joining another episode of Bes-TEAS, Spillin from Time.
Oh, I just dropped
Look
my
at
mic.
you.
I just dropped my
It's time for us to go.
Bye.
Bye everyone.